Hi everybody, Mature Simmer here. So welcome to the Nascar series with Walker Air Transport as we're taking folks from race to race through the 2025 season. So this weekend we're going to be heading up to Michigan. So just getting the plane ready for takeoff here. So doing all the outside work. Heading in. Should be all set. And we'll be able to get everything turned on. We'll get the APU fired up as soon as we can. So there we go. It is beginning. Get our emergency lights armed, anti-collision on, pulse and recognition on, since we're getting ready to fire up here. All right. So we're all set. I tried something different. I went to the EFB and loaded the flight plan. It doesn't look like it did what I needed here. So it is runway 14, runway 05, but then, okay, let me go back to the EFB here, and I should be able to load as existing flight plan. Alright, now we have some stuff. Alright, and looks like everything's hanging on. So I think we're okay. Alright, Bowling Green is in Kentucky. So it's curious that those are all 4,000 feet. But, yeah, I'm trying to figure out, let me look at my Navigraph. Yeah, Bowling Green's only 59 miles, but still, it should, I think it should be able to go higher than that. So we're going to do a flight level 20. We're going to enter that. And then at Louisville, we should absolutely be at flight level 360. Oh, hold on. So we want flight level 200. Let's see if that, why can't I go to 360? Why won't it let me do that? And why is that in the descent phase? That makes no sense. That should be in the climb phase. Yeah, overall this is a bit odd. Alright, well let me look, because I'm wondering if we have if my procedures are set. I'm trying to remember where we put our flight level in. So plan. So let's see. It's either climb or descent. Okay, won't let me do that. Why? So let's say 340. Let's see if that works. No. Alright, so I probably need to do at or above. That's not helping either. This is just really odd. Alright, and this is not descent. Okay. So I think that's the issue, is we were at, okay. So we want flight level 360. And we want to enter that. Okay. Alright. No waypoints. Okay. So we should be okay, and then the only thing I have is, yeah, I want to get rid of the manual sequence. So we're going to remove that, and we're going to have it direct from siren to Charlie Foxtrot, 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 Mike. Okay, and that should be good. All right, so we've got things going. Let's go ahead, get our engines ready. So we're gonna fire this up. So yeah, we were here at the Cracker Barrel 400 at Nashville. Ryan Blaney was the winner of that race. And we're going to the Firekeepers Casino 400 at Michigan International Speedway in Brooklyn, Michigan, which is just outside of Detroit a little bit. And that's an afternoon race on tomorrow, Sunday, June 8th. Alright, so clearance is 121.4. 1214. Transfer that. Let's call in for some clearance. Smyrna clearance. Walker 4021 requesting IFR to Michigan. I think it's actually a different name, but we'll see.
I'll have your clearance in just a second.
Okay. So while it's doing that, let's get everything else set. Flight director's on. Should be able to do nav and VNav. We'll set our altitude to, I don't know, let's go with 5,000. Got to set it to
Walker 4021,
finer.
to Willow Run. Radar vectors Bowling Green, then is filed. Climb and maintain 4,000. Expect flight level 36010 minutes after departure. Departure on 118.4 squawk 2544. And I know it's not what you filed, but you can expect runway 19er.
Clear to Willow Run, radar vectors Bowling Green, and then is filed. Climb and maintain 4,000. Expect flight level 36010 minutes after departure. Departure on 118.4 squawk 2544. Expect runway 19er, Walker 4021. Alright, so we're going to have to amend things there.
4021, read back correct.
Alright, so departure's 118.4. Okay, and ground is here. So let me, whoops. Let me go ahead and get this going. Let's get the other engine running. Alright, so it's going to be a bit of a issue here, so we're going to need to file 119er. Select destination. No, okay. So I want to go back. I want to go to procedure. I want to go here. Alright, so 19er is going to be what?
Tornado 892 Tango Oscar, hold short of taxiway hotel traffic on final approach. Holding short of taxiway hotel Tornado
Okay.
892 Tango Oscar.
There isn't a 19er
I'm working
at
on that
Willow
clearance.
Run.
Stand by.
There's 0509,
Georgia.
27, and 23.
SYI, then is filed. Climb and maintain 3,000. Departure on 118.4 squawk 1642.
So that seems to be a bug with say intentions. So I'm going to go ahead and we're going to just leave things here, and I'm going to file this with say intentions support just so they know that there's a problem. At this point, we should have, alright, parking brake is on. Yeah, no data. I got to get my stabilizers down. Whoops, wrong way. So I'm adjusting my trim. And then we're going to get flaps to first position. So all of that should hopefully then work. Standby data. It's because I don't have that on. So we'll get that set. And let's see, we've got altimeter 3008, so we've got to dial that in. Also on our standby gauge, just in case we have an equipment failure from our main avionics. So we're over here at the GA ramps. Lots of friends with us, but we're one of the bigger ones here at Willow Run. 1-4 should be out there. So just trying to zoom in so I can see the airport and where my taxi routes are. So I think we're going to go via Bravo Charlie. We're going to have to cross runway 9er. But, yeah, it was odd. So, anyway, I think we're good to go. Smyrna ground, Walker 4021, ready for taxi. Whoops, I haven't done my squawk. 2544.
Walker 4021, taxi to runway 19 or via Bravo.
Taxi to runway 19 or via Bravo. I get it, okay. Our takeoff was runway 19er, but that'll be fine. So that'll work. It'll just take us a little different. Okay, and we had to get to 4,000. So silly me, I'm thinking like, so I don't need to capture that and send it in. There is a 19er here. So that'll be easier because we won't have to cross 19er, but it is a shorter runway. But should be fine. Alright, so we'll release our parking brake. Our errors go away. And we will get ourselves moving here. So,
Cessna 908, Charlie Echo, hold short of runway 27 traffic on final approach.
swing around
Holding short
this
of runway
way.
27, Cessna 908, Charlie Echo.
So if you're looking at the
Clearance on
airport
request,
or just
standby.
following along, we're on east. Whoops, turning the wrong way.
Ready to copy IFR to Louisville Muhammad Ali International.
I'll have your clearance in just a second.
We're on the east ramp. I turned the wrong way. So I kind of need to get back through. Kind of spinning in a circle here. But yeah, we need to head that way. There we can see our guidance on the ground there. So yeah, for those that have been following, we are moved. I am in the new location, and this is my first flight simulator flight here with the new setup, so which is really the new internet. Had to adjust some things before, because I was getting really poor results here in the space I'm sitting, but able to move some of our access points for the mesh network, and I think I'm in pretty good shape. We'll find out and see how this flight goes. But things loaded in okay. Alright, this is Bravo. So we're finally off the ramp. So anyway, I was saying we're in East Ramp. We're passing by the maintenance hangar here in Smyrna. Smyrna is a bit east of Nashville proper. So when we were here last time in 2022, when we were flying that series, which we did in 2024 on the actual calendar, but I was kind of role-playing that we were back then. But we would have flown into Bravo November Alpha, the main airport in Nashville, but we tried to go ahead and plan our trips with our VIPs this time at smaller regional airports that were closer to the track. Tried to look at what was the best viable option. Oops, almost too quick there. Alright, so we're going to get our landing lights on. We forgot to turn our taxi on. But now we're going to flip to departure. Oops, need to go to tower, which is 118.5. So we'll put that in, and then 118.4 is there. Smyrna Tower, Walker 4021, holding short runway 19er, ready for takeoff.
Walker 4021, Smyrna Tower, runway 19er, winds 130 at 4, fly runway heading, cleared for takeoff.
Runway 19er, cleared for takeoff, fly runway heading, Walker 4021. Alright, so he may vector us over.
No takeoff.
So we'll get over, and we'll get up, and all will be good.
Bonanza 64 Foxtrot Alpha 2 cleared for takeoff runway 29.
So we got about
Cleared for
400
takeoff,
nautical
runway 29
miles
Bonanza
here.
64 Foxtrot Alpha 2.
So not a super short
the
flight,
traffic
but
at my
nothing
11 o'clock.
crazy. And we're getting close to Mexico
Bonanza
City,
Tango
which
Sierra,
is
Roger, maintain visual separation with
going to be a
traffic.
bit crazy. So,
Bonanza
alright,
Tango Sierra, contact ground on 121.4.
away we go. Alright, all looking good. Alright, 100. We're going to rotate soon. So there we go. Should be getting some lift pretty close to the end, because it's only a 5,000 foot runway that they put us on there, so I'm not a big fan. Turn the auto throttle on. Turn the autopilot on here. And hopefully we'll be good. So
Contact departure.
contact departure, Walker 4021. Alright, why is this not going? I'm gonna try this. So, departure, Walker 4021 with you.
Walker 4021, Nashville departure, radar contact, climb and maintain flight level 360, turn right heading 360, vectors to Bowling Green, then own navigation.
Climb and maintain flight level 360, turn right heading 360, vectors to Bowling Green, then on navigation, Walker 4021. Alright, let's get that dialed into the box, so we're good. So we should be able to climb, and again, we need to be at or above 20,000 and what we entered in at Bowling Green. We'll see if we can hit that. We should be able to in what amounts to 57 miles now, because we're basically just over the airport. Whoops, didn't pick up the gear. That will help. But yeah, we're just passing the north end, so that's runway 14, runway 19, right where we took off, so we're already up 6,000 feet. So, and we can pick flaps up, so that will also give us some movement. Why are the flaps not moving? There we go. Just looking at the indicator. So, we should get some quicker speed. So we're trying to get flight level. It's setting it at 250 there from the FMS, which is fine. But, you know, we're still climbing nicely. Smyrna's behind us. Nashville proper should be, I think, that way. Don't know. We might be too far away to really see it. Oops. Turning quickly. Sorry, it's also like flashing in the ground.
7 Kilo Lima cleared RNAV 36 number 2 following a diamond.
Alright.
Cleared RNAV 36
So,
following the diamond
go
67
ahead
Kilo
and
Lima.
Get our landing lights off as we've cleared 10,000. And we're also able to now go above 250, so it's changing the flight level. Change at 270. And we'll continue to climb at that pace until we get to flight level 360. So if I'm looking, it's IFR conditions in Detroit today, so we're gonna see what that turns into. Hopefully nothing too crazy. If I look, we've got winds 020 at 6, but 3 statute miles of visibility, and it looks like we have basically missed. But we have broken at 800, overcast at 1800, and yeah, dew point and temperature are close. They're within a degree, so I had learned from one of the pilot videos I watched that when things are that close, foggy conditions are possible.
Walker 4021, contact Memphis Center on 133.85.
Contact Memphis Center 133.85, Walker 4021. Alright, hit the transition altitude, so we'll adjust that. Memphis Center, Walker 4021 with you, flight level 190, climbing flight level 360. So, crossing the Cumberland River, which is the river that goes by Nashville. But we're heading basically due north, which heading 360 would make sense. I mean, you can see we're flying at 007 because we are a little bit off of the flight path to Bowling Green, which is in Kentucky, but we've exceeded the 20,000, so I was able to achieve, I may be at full flight level by Bowling Green. I didn't think in 60 miles that we could do it, but we might be able to pull it off. So yeah, we're passing over Gallatin, which is a suburb on the north side of Nashville. But yeah, I haven't gone incredibly far, obviously, just maybe 30 miles or so. But as always, I'm going to go ahead here. We'll step away. I'm not expecting much to be happening. And again, given that we're not using anything in between, and this isn't really a series where I normally do anything full flight, like maybe a neo-fly or something like that, just won't make this exceptionally long for you. So I'm going to step away, get ourselves closer, and we'll rejoin either when we're ready for descent or maybe already on the way down. We'll see how things go. I'll see you in a bit. Alright, we've gotten a little bit closer. Not a whole lot to see. It's pretty ugly weather, as we expected. Basically, once we got north of Dayton, it got kind of hairy. So, sitting here, just starting on what they're pronouncing as the Piet 2 arrival into Willow Run, but just starting the descent. Got to come around here on the PFD, get through here over to Siren, I think it is, and then we'll be routing over to the ILS 5.
Remaining at or below 5,000 Cessna.
So what I probably want to do is look at the overlay.
Contact Indianapolis Center on 128.075.
Walker 4021, Indianapolis Center 128.075. Indianapolis Center, Walker 4021 with you, flight level 320 descending. Alright, so it's Siren, we want to be above 4, so we'll just dial ourselves in to that. going to be above 4,000. We don't necessarily want to be at 4,000, but we want to be above it. Alright, but we're down to 30 already, which is nice. How far do we have? So has it 53 miles? In theory, that's going to be about 15,000 feet that will go down, so we should be right around 15,000 then. But yeah, we're in Ohio, a little bit north of Columbus, but kind of in the northwest part of the state. And we will stay that way until we hit the Michigan line, so we are not crossing back over into Indiana. But yeah, Petya, as they said. I don't know that I would describe it that way or pronounce it that way, but that is what they did. But yeah, I think we're just in the soup the whole way. It's still very red IFR conditions according to Navigraph. But that's why we fly some modern jets and things like that, so... So yeah, I saw somewhere on something I was doing, someone had submitted like an Amelia Earhart route, and of course suggested some planes you can use to simulate it, but it's like 300 hours of flying time or something. So I'm sure it's just excruciatingly slow, but of course I think all of that kind of stuff is relative as you really think about it. Because if you go back into those days of, say, Lindbergh, obviously the Wright brothers for sure, but Charles Lindbergh, Amelia Earhart, right at the early decades of flight, where before the fastest mode of transport would have been train, and shortly before that would have just been horse and buggy. So you're probably going, 5 or 6 miles an hour.
Walker 4021, Indianapolis Center, contact Cleveland Center on 128.625.
Contact Cleveland Center, 128.625, Walker 4021. Cleveland Center, Walker 4021, with you, flight level 240, descending 4,000. Alright, a little bit of a break between the cloud layers.
21, Cleveland Center, good morning.
See how long we get any kind of visibility.
Reduce speed to 280 knots for sequencing.
But it looks like we're going around weather.
101 heavy.
So, speaking of, SimBrief did introduce new capability into flight planning
Traffic at your 10 o'clock, 6 miles at 2,500 P28.
that you can set a route around weather. So that's actually pretty sweet. I may take advantage of it in certain things. I didn't think of it this time because it is kind of brand new, and this is the first flight I've been doing since that appeared, but I did follow the instructions that Navigraph put out, and yeah, kind of demonstrated how something worked. Basically picking a flight down into Texas at the time I was testing where they had some severe storms, and yeah, you turn that on and then rerun the calculation, and it ran us around it pretty nicely. So, it added about 100 miles to the trip, but like that's the right way and the safe way to fly. So, and then if I'm using real weather like this, rather than it just being happenstance that we're going around some relatively ominous looking clouds here. I mean, they're kind of dark. So, looks like we avoided them, but it was more, this was by pure luck rather than we truly did avoid them. So, yeah, because that looks pretty nasty. Alright, down to 20. So we're getting to transition. Speaking of, 3010 is what we want. So we're going to dial that in. We're going to go ahead on the standby and put that in. there is no kind of extra. I mean, I was able to hit the transition, but it didn't work, you know, like it does on the main displays, or isn't used the same way, I guess. Again, it's just a standby, so it's a little more flexible. I'm not really watching it regularly, but keeping it aligned. And obviously at 10,000, we're going to slow down some. But like I said, it has it. We're expecting about 15,000 feet. Maybe, hopefully, a little bit less. But we still have 12 miles to go, so in theory I can go down 4,000 feet in that time. So that would put us between 14 and 13,000 feet. But we'll see if that's really where we end up there. And then we're making a right turn and heading into the Detroit area. But still, we'll have crossed the Ohio border at that point and be in Michigan by the time we hit Hazlet. We're really kind of crossing it about now. In the next few moments, for sure. So, been enjoying a little bit of Tower Simulator 3. Got to the point where I've used my kind of free trial just to test things out. Did go ahead at this point, opt in for the supporter of $6 a month, and that'll get me some schedules there, so I'm likely going to do more of that.
Contact Detroit approach on 118.95.
Southwest 653, descend and maintain flight level 280.
Contact Detroit approach 118.95, Walker 4021.
SkyWest 510, Cleveland Center, Roger, Waterville.
Detroit approach, Walker 4021 with you, 14,500, descending 4,000.
Walker 4021, Detroit approach. Good morning, Willow Run, altimeter 30.06. Expect the ILS runway 5 approach into Willow Run.
Expect the ILS runway 5 approach into Willow Run, Walker 4021. Okay, so a little bit different than what we expected. See, but now we're like headed right at the weather. Well, we might straighten out and kind of graze the edge of it, but that's a little crazy. I mean, it might be bumpy and turbulent. I mean, it is a simulator, so we'll just let it do its thing. But yeah, we're kind of heading straight into the heart of the beast there. But it looks kind of clear behind it, so it might be a quick pass through, hopefully. But it's slowing down to 250, as you can see. We've got speed in there. We're kind of still at the FMS. There's no reason not to be. But where's Pete? Okay, so again, about 4,000, so we'll be at 8,000 feet or so. So we'll be a little higher, but we've got a little ways to go between the arrival and the final approach on the ILS approach there. So we'll be turning a little to the right because we're there, and then we're going to CFF, or Charlie Foxtrot, Foxtrot, Foxtrot Mike. Alright, so probably a no-no, but again, at 10,000 feet or whatever at this point, I'm going to go ahead. We'll turn. Whoop. I don't know what I'm doing. Hitting the wrong button is what I'm doing. But we'll go ahead and get the landing lights on. It'll probably just make things worse, but because yeah, we did have some overcast. It's 16 and 14 now, temperature and dew point, so we got a little bit difference. But yeah, it's theoretically overcast to 800, but yeah, we're kind of coming out of the bad part here, so But now we're just going into the fluffy white clouds. So we'll see. In theory, I mean, it could go down a little faster. Well, we're going to turn on our landing rate monitor so you can see 8,200 feet above ground level. So basically 1,000 feet is the ground elevation in this area of the country that we're at. But yeah, healthily into Michigan at this point. But yeah, we're going to be real close to 8,000. Maybe best case, they'll probably be 7,500 feet.
Delta 1221
We're still 40 miles out, so
Delta 1221 descending to 2,000.
not going to do anything as far as configuration
November
yet.
36, 1 X-ray, contact Cleveland Center on 135.375.
Walker 4021, descend and maintain 3400, turn right, heading 080, vectors for the ILS runway 5 approach.
Okay, well, we'll be doing that anyway. Just descend and maintain 3400, turn right, heading 080, vectors for the ILS runway 5 approach. Walker 4021. So, but we've got 10 miles, which will get us down another 3,000 feet. That's siren, so, and 3,000 feet would be right above 4,000, so, so probably in good shape. But yeah, a little bit of open air here, but we obviously will have some low clouds right around the airport. Yeah, an 800-foot ceiling is gonna be up there in things that will be interesting
Walker
for me.
4021, proceed direct Kmqy-Kyip, descend and maintain 2400 until established on the localizer, cleared for the ILS runway 5 approach.
Proceed direct Msfs, descend and maintain 2400 until established on the localizer, cleared for the ILS runway 5 approach. Walker 4021. Again, I don't know how far we have to Msfs, but I would imagine we can go down 2,000 or 3,000 feet in whatever time we have. I mean, we still have almost 4 miles to siren, and you know, that was where we were set at 4,000. Can hear the auto throttle kind of cycling up and down. It's kind of interesting. But yeah, I've got to go down less than 2,600 feet now, so, and that's not in 1.8 miles, that's in probably 10 miles, so we're good. We're still 28 miles from the airport, and we're not going to be heading in any way directly toward it now when we hit this waypoint and go. So what I want to see is it going to Msfs? It should be, because it's showing manual sequence. Alright, so I want to go direct, and that will turn us. And then we'll do flight level change there and start heading down. So, but yeah, we got over 15 miles, which should let us drop 5,000 feet. We only have to go 1,600, so we'll probably be down there pretty quickly. As you can see, we're already down 500 feet in those few seconds, still making the turn within 1,000. That's the beacon or the alarm that we hear there. And again, that'll put us about 1,500 feet above ground level, I think, so. Alright, but we're now in the clouds again. And at this point,
Kilo Lima cleared RNAV tree 6 number 2 following a diamond.
cleared RNAV 36 following the Diamond 67 Kilo Lima.
So, should be able to, it's going to have to throttle up a bit.
Roger. Spirit 3347, Detroit approach, descend and maintain 6,000.
But there we go, in about 4 miles, we descended the remainder that we needed, and we are basically about 1,500 feet above ground level. So, as long as we don't have any crazy structures or something sticking up above the ground, we should be fine. Yeah, one thing, now that, you know, we're established here, I kind of did intentionally take some time and be like, you know, I'm not going to deal with the VFR Around the World series with the TBM. That call just reminded me. But the TBM 850 series that I'm doing with all the tour legs and so forth that we were using with Say Intentions, I need to get back to that. Because that was definitely enjoyable, and I certainly want to go around with things like that, where we've got VFR and we can see different areas of the world that we've just not been to, and that'll be fun. But I felt there was certainly enough, and I didn't want to get in the middle of something or do too much with setup and not know that I could do things, and we didn't know how much things would cost. But the benefit right now is, like, you know, we paid the moving company earlier this week, and so in essence at this point we should be on normal cash flow, whatever that will be, but we can now start to establish that, and that'll make decisions easier as far as investment in any hobbies and things like that. So it might still be a few months till something surfaces, but it is in my mind for those who are wondering or thinking about it. Alright, so at this point I'm going to turn on approach, because if we can get on the localizer, that's obviously what we want. So, yeah, let me pull that up. Because, yeah, CFFM. So, yeah, at Taboy, and that's like 10 nautical miles.
Walker 4021, contact Willow Run Tower on 125.275.
Contact Willow Run Tower, 125.275, Walker 4021. Willow Run Tower, Walker 4021, ILS runway 5.
Walker 4021, Willow Run Tower, roger.
Alright, so we're on the localizer, so we have captured that, which was the goal. Glide slope still not descending, so at Tabui we're supposed to be at 2,400, so we're about 4 miles from there, less than 10 miles from the airport now. Again, overcast at about 800, so we should go down about 800 feet from where we're at now.
Bonanza 9001 Bravo cleared for immediate takeoff. Caution, wake turbulence from departing heavy.
Alright, so we
Cleared
do
for
have
immediate
that.
takeoff, Bonanza 9001
I'm going to go
Bravo.
ahead and lower the flaps one.
Walker 4021, Willow Run Tower, wind 035 at 7, runway 5, cleared to land.
Runway 5 cleared to land, Walker 4021. Alright, so we're coming in, and Tabui is going to be about 5 miles from the airport. It's 3.5 and then 1.5. Or 1.3, so that's like 4.8, but... Alright. So we're going to go down to flaps 2. Really get ourselves set. And we'll get wheels down. So we should have gear down now. We're coming down. Oops. A little fast and jumpy, but we're coming out of the soup. A little bit, or at least we can see down. We have captured the glide slope. So now it's just getting ourselves in here, but right now it's easier said than done because we've got no visibility. It is full instrument flying here. So this does take some getting used to. Like if you're not used to flying and you're new to flight sim, I encourage you to look at my flight sim for non-aviation folks. I don't quite remember what I called the series, but there's a whole playlist of things. But yeah, learning IFR and just being comfortable with like, okay, the plane knows what it's doing, this will work. You know, being comfortable with that. So yeah, we're only 2.5 miles out, but there we go. We're finally coming out of it, literally at 800 feet, so they're pretty accurate there with their reading. But yeah, we're not seeing any runway lights. I'm gonna go full flap now. Get myself really configured down here. And that should take us down to about 140. Alright, I see some lights. So yeah, that... It's a bit, it's a bit challenging, but yeah, it's stabilizing, so... That's what we want, 2 white, 2 red. Alright, what we want now is turn off the... Oh, I can't see, I can't see. We're too high. Let me get myself set here so that I really have good view.
15, 40, 30, 20, 10.
Not great, but it works. Alright. So, pretty good landing given that I was staring at my instrument panel. But welcome to Willow Run. Hopefully the weather tomorrow will be better for the race. I've watched a race at Michigan in rain, or been there in the rain. They're not doing a whole lot of racing in the rain, although now, recently, because they have introduced wet tires, kind of like they had in Formula One and stuff, they might still run, but
Warrior 371
either
Bravo,
way,
Charlie enter right base runway 27.
it's not a whole lot of fun when you're sitting
371 Bravo Charlie.
in pouring rain in giant exposed grandstands. And I think I've been there once when it was really crazy and lightning, and they kind of evacuated the stands. We had to all go underneath.
Is on approach.
So again, we need to vacate here.
Intercept.
Again, crossing the line entirely.
Walker 4021,
And there we
welcome to
go.
Willow Run. Contact ground on 119.975.
Contact ground 119.975, Walker 4021. Willow Run ground, Walker 4021, vacated runway 5. I need taxi, I should have asked for
Willow
that.
Run ground, taxi to Park 265 Golf Bravo. Have a great day.
Taxi to Park 26 via Golf Bravo, Walker 4021. Alright, let's get our flaps up. And I don't know how far we gotta go, but we'll find out. I assume this is a 1-runway airport, but I don't know, there's some stuff around here, I'll tell you that. It's got a big X on what probably was a runway here. Man, we are already going 27. So no, this is a little bit bigger airport than one would think, but I'm going to go ahead and zoom in here. Alright, so we're going Golf Bravo, so we're going to the west ramp, hangar 1. So it's basically a 90-degree, but yeah, there's 2 runways here. There's a runway 27 and and the runway 23 that we landed on, which was 7,500 feet, or runway 5 that we landed on. Alright, we're cruising along here, probably faster than we should. Although I would think these smaller planes probably do go quicker. It's interesting because it almost looks like those are hold points for 9 and 27. Alright, we're coming up on it here. So we definitely want to slow down to be able to reasonably make the turn. Looks like they're demolishing something over there, so not great scenery. But again, these are small airports that I'm sure are just created from satellite views at the top, and then they try to do things like, I certainly don't have airport files for these. I'm not great at doing that. I probably do need to get better, because that will probably be more enjoyable for folks. Okay, I'm like, the arrows just stopped, so I don't know where Park 26 is. Let's see. Yeah, but they did. Look at that. It looks like Mad Max outside the airport. It's a little crazy. But anyway. Alright. And again, the lights are in the wrong place. It's just definitely not designed well.
Embraer 225 Echo Mike holds short of taxiway Bravo, awaiting further instructions.
So again, I don't know where 26 is,
Bravo,
but
Embraer 225 Echo
I'm
Mike.
going to go in between these folks here.
Willow Run ground understood. How can I assist you further? Information Foxtrot is current.
So we'll come in between. I got nice couple bigger planes there, that's for sure. Alright, let's you can see it's raining on the surface. Alright, so we're going to get there, and we are going to turn everything off.
Willow Run ground, Beechcraft 8 Sierra Bravo, ready to copy IFR.
Alright, turn the radios off so that we don't deal with that. And we're spooling down. Didn't quite pull in, but that's okay. There was nobody there to guide us in. If we need to move the plane later, we'll do that. I've got my lights still on. Let me turn those off. At this point, we don't need that. Disarm our emergency lights. And we are good to go. What's blinking? Oh, emergency lights are off, which they should be. But anyway, hope you've enjoyed this trip for this week. Obviously, as I think I've said a few times, but now that we're kind of in the throes of things, I know all the monkey wrenches that were known are past us. You know, we're moved, we're set up, so we will be flying every week. Unless something super unexpected happens, but every week we will be flying to another NASCAR event, because that's how the schedule goes. With that, if you've enjoyed this, haven't liked or subscribed, please consider those things. They're greatly appreciated, and I will see you next time.